and welcome back to this year's International Feature Conference 2021. I hope you had fruitful discussions, and I'm happy to inform you we are right on time and back on track. Motto of this year's IFC, I think you have already noticed, is the power of narrative. And for us as feature makers, probably there is one meaning which is a bit closer to our heart, the power of narration, the power of storytelling. But there is another meaning of the power of narrative, is the struggle about opinion, perhaps about worldviews, beliefs, is the battle for a narrative. Kübra Gümüşay will be our guest in this plenary, brings different perspectives and languages to this table. Hamburg born and based, she has also been studying and living in Oxford. She's a TEDx talker, and she writes about racism, feminism, diversity, and she speaks at least 3 languages. This is German, English, and Turkish. Her recent book will be published in English, but is not available yet, but has been a bestseller in Germany. It deals with the connection between the way we talk and we form our reality, our beliefs, and our beings. One question she always mentions, or seems to be at the heart or the center of her thoughts, is how can we avoid to discriminate people by language, but rather see them really eye to eye? And this has been of a team which translated, she has been a team, which translated Amanda Gorman's inauguration poem, The Hill We Climb, into German. And we are very happy to have you here. Kübra, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
The plenary will work like this. Kübra will give us a short input, about 15, 20 minutes, roughly about like this. We will elaborate on this, on her thesis, after this in a short interview. And after this, the public stream will be closed and we will open up the Q&A session for you as delegates. And all in all, as it has been yesterday, it will take us roughly an hour. To enhance the participation, it has already been working in the special. Please raise your digital hand and we will try to make sure that you can go on screen and ask Kübra the question you would like to ask yourself. So Kübra, this is you, and we are very looking forward to your input.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing a space where we can dive deeper into the architecture of language, because as we're talking today about the power of narratives, about the power of stories, I think it also helps to dive deeper and actually explore the structure of what is around us, and to see the water that is around us, and to explore how it enables us to see the world, but how it also can allow us to travel through the world, but maybe also create barriers between people. So I'm going to read a few excerpts of my book, Language and Being, and I look forward to the discussion we're going to have afterwards. Stories are magical. We're currently in different parts of the world, and yet by exchanging these sounds, by speaking a common language, we're able to travel and imagine together, dive into the lives of our friends and complete strangers, into lives of the past, the present, the future, and into the lives of those who've never existed and are just pure products of our imagination. When we narrate stories, we transform our thoughts and impressions into sounds, into language. But are those words yours? Is this language yours? Through the eyes of which group of people are you looking at the world by using certain words? Can you exist in a language that you were never meant to use, never meant to speak, but be spoken about? I lead the form across into the world of it, Martin Buber. What came first, our language or our perception? On a warm summer's night, many years ago, in the harbour of a small town in southwest Turkey, we were drinking black tea and shelling salted sunflower seeds with a languid rapidity. My aunt gazed at the sea, into the deep, calm darkness, and said, "Look how bright that yakamoz is." I followed her eyes, but couldn't see any bright light anywhere. "Where?" I asked. Again, she pointed at the sea, but I still didn't know what she meant. Laughing, my parents explained the meaning of the word yakamoz. It describes the moon's reflection on the water. And now I too saw it shining brightly in the darkness ahead of me, yakamoz. I now see it every time I go for a nocturnal stroll by the sea and wonder, do the other people around me see it too? Even those who don't know the word yakamoz. because language can inform our perception. I know the word, hence I perceive what it means. If you speak a second language, you surely think of numerous terms that describe phenomena, situations, or emotions for which there is no direct English counterpart. The Japanese word komorebi describes sunlight shimmering through the leaves of trees. Ghurfa, an Arabic word, describes the amount of water you can cup in the palm of your hand. The Greek word meraki describes the ardent passion, love and energy with which someone devotes themselves to a task. And imagine this, you're walking through an unfamiliar city and someone gives you directions. You listen carefully, but no sooner have you set off again than you realize that you've already forgotten what they've said. Hawaiian has a word for it, akihi. Many languages, such as Indonesian, Turkish, Japanese, Finnish, and Farsi, have no gender-specific pronouns at all. No he, she, or it. The cognitive scientist, Laura Boroditsky, describes a conversation she has had with someone whose native language was Indonesian. They were talking in Indonesian about a friend of Boroditsky's. Her interlocutor, who didn't know her friend, asked her all sorts of questions about them. But it wasn't until his 21st question that he asked whether the friend was a man or a woman. Boroditsky was surprised. Could it be possible that this person had spent the entire conversation imagining a person of undetermined gender? What about you? Would you be able to listen to a story about a person, ask follow-up questions, and even imagine the person without an urge to know this person's gender? When it comes to the perception of space and time, the language of the Tayor in Northern Australia is particularly interesting. Cook Tayor has no word for left or right. Tayor instead use compass points, cardinal directions. For example, there is an ant on your northwestern arm, or can you move the cup to the southeast, please? The Tayor can indicate precisely the cardinal directions, even when in completely enclosed rooms, by the age of 5 or even 4. When two Tayor meet, their greeting involves asking the other person where they are going. Even during small talk then, speakers are encouraged to name the cardinal directions, which are such an elementary and inherent constituent of the language and perception. Later, Boroditsky described what happened when she tried to learn this language, Cook Tayor. I had this cool experience when I was there. You know, I was trying to stay oriented because people were treating me like I was pretty stupid for not being oriented, and that hurt. And so I was trying to keep track of which way is which. And one day, I was walking along and I was just staring at the ground. And all of a sudden, I noticed that there was a new window that had popped up in my mind. And it was like a bird's eye view of the landscape that I was walking through. And I was a little red dot that was moving across the landscape. And then when I turned, this little window stayed locked on the landscape, but it turned in my mind's eye. And I thought, oh, this makes it so much easier. Now I can stay oriented too. When Lera Boroditsky told a Tayor about this strange experience, strange for her that is, he laughed and asked, how else were you meant to stay oriented in this world? With its grammatical structures, rules and norms, our language influences not only our perception of place, but also perception of time. How does time pass for you? If I ask you as an English speaker to put pictures of someone in chronological order from childhood to adulthood, you would probably start left and move on to the right, starting at the left with childhood photos and then moving on. In German, in English, and in